Welcome, everybody. I'm so excited to see everyone, see some new faces. So my name is Nicole Slater. I'm a strategic marketing consultant, and I help artists with all kinds of marketing needs. And I'm so excited to be here with ArtCloud because I think they're an awesome platform. Really quick, when we're talking about email newsletters, there's kind of two main silos. There's two main versions, and I'm pretty sure people have seen a direct response email. I always think of like a musical artist, buy my CD, buy my t-shirt, go to my event, but obviously for painters and artists, go to my gallery show, here's my new series. You're really trying to elicit a direct response for people to show up, to buy, to do something where you can really track them. And these are great, and they're definitely very necessary. But if all of your emails you ever send out or all of your kind of marketing or branding is direct response, then it kind of comes off sometimes as that like icky car salesman. And it doesn't really go into the why of why are you an artist? Why are you doing this? What inspires you to do these kinds of things? So it's really good to kind of mix when you're thinking about your marketing strategy and your email strategy, mix the two different kinds. So brand awareness, I always think of this as like kind of first date behavior. You want to tease a little bit, you don't want to give too much. So let's say you had an article written about you or an interview, you would never like copy and paste the entire interview and put it in there, You instead take the best quote and put that in the newsletter and then click off to something. So we want to tease little breadcrumbs. And this is also a great place to kind of talk about your mission, your artist statement. Why are you an artist? What inspires you? Maybe your art is inspired by climate change. So talking about, how you came to that conclusion, or you saw a leaf on the ground, who knows, like what inspires you, but kind of creating a fun little interesting story. Brand awareness is also good for people who don't have a gallery show coming up, aren't selling their art, and there's no big events. Again, you want to be kind of romantic in the way that you write. For my clients, I've seen a lot of success with kind of behind the scenes videos and photos and talking about the process. It's really interesting for other people to see how you create these beautiful paintings and sculptures. Most phones have a time-lapse feature on them, and I've seen a lot of success with social media posts, doing a time-lapse of your artistic process. So, in your email newsletter, you could put a photo and then link that off to your Instagram reel or your video of the time lapse. So just always think about those two different kinds. All right, so let's talk about newsletter content. So here's a couple of ideas. These are mostly direct response ideas, but if you have a new body of work, you're working on something new, again, tease that a little bit of like, oh, I haven't done this kind of art before, and send a photo out. If you're having a sale, holidays are coming up. Some artists do holiday work or crafts or different things like that. Any kind of announcement for gallery shows or residencies, grants, awards. It's a good idea to send a newsletter out and let people know, what's going on in their world. So some missteps, some places where it can all go wrong. No, I'm just kidding. It's not that dramatic. You want to make sure to provide links, call to action or CTAs. So in your newsletter, if you have a really beautiful high resolution image, a lot of times people forget that you can actually use that image and link off to something, whether that's your Instagram or your website or an article about you. Make sure to include a lot of links and link those images, because that's where most people click these days. I don't know if you guys know this, but no one has like an attention span anymore. So we're just all scrolling. So when someone gets your newsletter, if they open it, what they're going to do first is scroll, look at the photos, and look at the giant headers, the big bold text, and that's going to tell them if they want to read it. So you want to make sure to have those elements, and we'll talk about that in a second. Also, make sure you have really important detail about if you have a gallery show, actually write the address and the location so people can show up in person. It's all good. Here are two examples. So the first one, this is from Ann Weber, And this is just a little slice of her newsletter. Normally at the top, she'll have a little header. Then she has a beautiful image linked to that show with a little information down below about the size of the piece. There's a header, which is nice and bold and clearly stated. Even though it's small right now, I can still read it. It's very legible with the time, of when the show is available. There's a body section that gives all the information. Here's the address, here's the phone number, and most importantly, that button, that call to action. So some examples of buttons are learn more, browse now, shop now, read more. You want it to be really short. You don't have a verb in there. The second one, this is Marie Thibault, and this is at the very end of her email. She has a little bio. I think it's really important to say a little bit about you, and she's got some links in there to her work at Artillery and the LA Times and LA Weekly, a button that links to learn, her about page on her website. And then at the very end, another area that people forget is their social media. So having, either little icons or a graphic that says, hey, connect with me. Really important to put that on your email list, because ideally you want people to connect on social, on your website, and on your email. You want them to live in your ecosystem, So if you have a pen and paper, we'll be sending this video out afterwards. These are the things you really want to include. You want a logo or some kind of header. It doesn't have to be anything fancy. Highly recommend using the font that is on your website if you have a website, so it looks branded. For text, again, don't write, a whole dissertation in there. Don't give everything, just tease it a little bit, High quality images are really important. Most iPhones or Androids take actually really good photos now. So you don't have to have a professional photographer and spend all this money. You just need to have some good lighting and take a photo of your phone and drop it in. Use of font. Like I said before, using fonts that are legible, that are easy to read. If you use something that's really highly stylistic and very like cursive or something, number one, most people can't read it. Number two, when you send it out, most likely Google or MailChimp or whatever you use is going to change that font to one of the internet fonts. So just try to use something, basic, something good. Call to action. Again, we don't want to, an email for nothing. We want to drive that traffic to your website. So have a button of some sort.